and welcome to Talkin Baseball. It is lockout season, no games, but we got some tidying up to do. We missed a couple things. Let's talk about them. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball, brought to you by DraftKings. My name is Jimmy. Sitting next to me is Jake. In the middle, we have Trevor Plouffe. And in the corner, we have producer BBD. Baseball locked out. Nada. Players are faceless. Nothing's going on. Baseball's dead. Jake, the coldest in the streets it's ever been? Yes or no?
I think so. Baseball threw a late Hail Mary last night with some old-timer Hall of Famers, so I do love that. But yeah, no, baseball chilly in the streets right now, and I don't love it, but I do love being the #1 CBA podcast in the world, brother. Kind of like me holding my Bino belt that I'm putting on the line tomorrow night at 7 p.m. live on the tube. We're having a Bino tournament tomorrow, and I'm holding the belt till then. But yeah, baseball a little chilly in the streets.
Do you know how important this Bino tournament is tomorrow, Trev? The Bino tournaments are going to be an 8-person bracket. The winner gets the belt for 2 months. There's going to be a tournament every 2 months. Jake, we just got the belt, and Jake's technically the last winner. He only faced one opponent instead of a pool of 8 players. But I mean, he could lose it tomorrow night, and whoever wins it gets it for, 60 days until the next tournament of 8. There'll be a regular season in between to determine who makes it into the bracket, who's dancing. But yeah, Jake's got to really use this belt nicely because it's on the line tomorrow. Everyone can tune in. It's the JOMBOY and Jake TV YouTube channel. We'll be live streaming at 7 p.m. Jake's belt is on the line. Trevor, how are you? How was your weekend?
James, Jacob, Big Don. Guys, people in chat, what's up?
What up?
I want to be, this is a transparent pod.
Ooh.
Okay? We're transparent here. Yeah. So I was on the Bino website.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys. I said, hey, I'm looking to buy a few Binos for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
James, you looked at me, or you didn't look at me. You texted me and said, let's wait till Tuesday. Let's bake that algo a little bit with old Bino. So I will be ordering 2 Bino boards, one for me and then one for a Christmas present. I watched something that I'm kind of upset that I didn't know you could do. On Bino's website, this dude was flying the sticks. He was lifting the ball up. He was kicking it over the defenders. I didn't know you could do that. Game over, boys. Next time I come into town, there's no defenders, essentially, if you kick it over them.
The professional Bino guys are kind of out of control. Also, did you know that Cole Tucker's friends with the guys who invented Bino? And it's it's kind of like they went to high school together, and Cole Tucker's part of the Bino rise, basically.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that when we got the board. It just kind of happened.
Love that. He said he's a minority owner in it. Good for him, man.
Pretty nuts. So make sure you tune in Tuesday night, 7 p.m. For now, let's talk about the lack of baseball. I think for this episode, there's a bunch of moves that happened. Nick Martinez, Jordan Lyles, Rich Hill, Hunter Renfroe, Paxton, Chris Taylor, Marcus Stroman. We're going to do that as a second part of the show because I think we got to just kind of talk about the situation at hand. Baseball's locked out. The owners voted to lock out the teams. So we're a labor pot again. I don't know how deep we want to get into this, how not deep we want to get into it. I kind of have an opening question that might lead us into more stuff, and that is, as of right now, do you think we will miss games in the 2022 season? Trev, I'll ask you first.
I do not think we will. It's my professional opinion here that we've lost some games, last couple of years here. They don't want that to happen anymore. I think there's enough time here. We've been negotiating this thing for quite some time throughout the 2021 season. I know the media portrays it where both sides are just completely so far apart, but I believe there'll be some headway made, probably towards February, something like that. It's going to be tough for guys to get to spring training and get all that in, but I think it'll happen. I don't think we'll miss any games.
Jake?
I'm scared, guys. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little scared because everyone's been saying both these sides are going to figure it out come February. The part that scares me, unfortunately, is I think both these sides keep saying that, expecting the other side to come down in February, which I don't know. I'm just not confident enough in that. And I think, and this is where I got scared the other day, and I will say I do think we miss a couple games. I don't think it's a lot. But there's no hard deadline right now. And so we just saw it with all these free agent signings, and we're going to talk about the ones we missed at the buzzer. Stroman's a big one. We had two motivated sides to get deals done. Players wanting to get signed and teams wanting to get players in-house before this lockout. And we saw a lot happen up until that deadline. We don't have a deadline, and we just have two sides that think the other one's going to cave in, but they also don't like each other. So, the only thing that becomes a threat in an actual deadline is opening day. And that's kind of the lockout. But we saw between COVID and everything else, pitchers need a spring training. So I'm just worried that with no actual deadline, we're going to get up to mid-March or hell, up near April and say, okay, well, we had to actually scare some games and cancel some games, but we need 4 weeks to get the pitchers ready. So I think that's going to be what's interesting. And maybe they'll start flashing a real deadline, and that'll be what changes things. Maybe one side's going to throw out a February 14th deadline, and that'll give us some action. But as of right now, until we get that, I think we're going to miss a couple and run into a $150 game season.
I think it probably wouldn't surprise people. I get myself ready for the worst, so when it comes, it doesn't upset me, and I'm like, I was prepared for this. But I've been thinking about it, and I think we're missing games for sure because neither side both sides aren't trying. In my opinion, I would guess from the way we've seen these sides deal with each other before, they're seeing this February 1 deadline, quote unquote deadline, as we got to cave by then, but they're saying, I can't wait to prove to them that we won't cave by them. I think they're both preparing to be excited about being stubborn and being like, we will not let that affect. And then what are you going to do then? Then you need 2 weeks of proving to each other that you're not going to cave before you even start doing anything in good faith. I mean, the way that the things that we've been hinted at, Rob Manfred's address to the public, just blatantly lying, is a bad start. Rob Manfred putting in writing, we were forced to lock out the season. Well, it's just a very liberal use of the word forced, because no, you weren't. You voted to. Jameson Tyone tweeted, they didn't have to do a lockout. They could have negotiated and put a halt to things while they were negotiating, and then I still could use my trainer that I've been working with. But because MLB decided to lock the players out, now I can't use the facilities in the place where I've been rehabbing this whole time. They didn't have to do that. So MLB's Manfred's opening address was just so bad, and it's for people who are in the know. It's oh no, you're just lying. It's like when someone scams your grandma and your grandma starts falling for it, and you're like, no, this guy's full of shit. How could anyone fall for this? Damn. That was the tone of Manfred's letter.
I'm choosing to be positive here and optimistic because I've been a part of these talks for so long, and they are so negative. And we're getting back to stuff we talked about when we were a labor pod back, what was that, 2020?
Yeah.
the two sides don't like each other. And I'm going to say this again because I think it's very important. The thing that's drilled into the players all the time is that Jerry Reinsdorf once said the owner's biggest mistake in 94 was not being willing to sit out for 2 years. So that has been drilled into the players' heads. And that is why, the licensing checks that we're supposed to get from all the MLB logoed stuff gets put away for years prior to CBAs being up. There's a big war chest of money. And like I said, think about that. You're willing to wait 2 years. I think we missed some games then. I am looking at a chart here. There's been some work stoppages before. Only 3 times we lost games. They've all been because of a strike, 72, 81, and 94. Every time there's been just, I don't know if lockouts always precede strikes. I'm not sure. But anytime there's just been a lockout, we have not lost any games. So I'm hoping these two sides can come together.
Me too.
I mean, you guys are right to be pessimistic. I'm choosing to be optimistic because I don't want to think about that. It's just people need baseball. We need baseball. So I'm hoping that
all the numbers were good last year. Like it's a thriving and like exciting. I think the streaming was up. I think the age demographic went down. You got young studs. You got Ohtani, who's the biggest international sensation the game probably has ever had. I mean, he's got to go a couple more seasons, but I think it's fair to say that he's
on route to that. Ichiro probably.
Ichiro, but I mean, if Ohtani does another year of what he just did.
Yeah.
I mean, he won MVP.
The money is good in baseball. I think the main thing is what they're trying to figure out, and this is pretty difficult. It really is. It's the distribution of that money and where should it go and who should get what. Now, if you look, the team franchise values have risen tremendously over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years. Player salaries really haven't changed at all. So that's not good. If you really look at the numbers and where those franchises are going and the way players are paid right now, yes, I know they just showed us $500 million the Rangers just spent and all this stuff happened. This isn't who this lockout is about. It's not about the top end 1% players. Like those guys are going to get paid regardless, and teams are happy to pay those guys. They're also happy to pay major league minimum to guys. It's about the guys in the middle, the guys that spend 6 years in the minor leagues and then are up and down for 5 years in the big leagues, never really getting anything. Major league minimum, it's good. I get it. If you're making $500,000, a normal person would really, really like that. But remember, this is only for a certain amount of time. And if you're getting sent up and down, you're actually not making the major league minimum. It's about those guys. You need to basically what the players want, I think, in the end. Like the best case scenario is up the major league minimum, get guys to free agency faster. Because teams are paying pennies on the dollar compared to worth, like value for these guys when they're young. And then when players finally can get to the point where they can make some coin and actually make what they're worth, they're done. They're out of the league. Teams get rid of them. And that is the root problem of what's going on. That's what the PA is trying to fix right now.
And that's, I think what's going to be interesting, like let's put a lot of our cards out there. We're obviously pro player. We have a lot of relationships with players now. Not a ton with owners, but we're also fans of baseball. Like we became fans of baseball because we watched a lot of great players, a la Trevor Plouffe, play the game, and now we're into this world. They want to play ball, and you're right. They obviously have issues, and this is a contract, but baseball players want to play baseball. Like that's the end of the day. They want to make a little more money while doing it. That makes sense. They want to hit free agency earlier, sure. It's finding out what makes sense from both sides. And I think everyone thinks that the owners are going to come to the table more aggressively because some of the COVID stuff. We talked about it, how, a lot of these people have their projections for the next couple years. They didn't expect the COVID year. How hard did a lot of them really get hit, especially when you start talking about some of these teams where ownership bought a bunch of restaurants around the stadium and stuff like that. So I think we're pretty good at hearing the whispers. Like if things start really getting aggressive, maybe end of January, early February, I think that means the owners are motivated to get this done, and both sides will figure it out. February is really the pivot month for me because we know how much of this stuff goes back and forth in the media. And I think you also have to tie it to the sports world, right? I believe the Super Bowl falls right around Valentine's Day this year, if not on Valentine's Day.
It's a late Super Bowl, no?
Another week in the football season this year. And so, and maybe it's those final 2 weeks when the Super Bowl's over. If we don't have a lot of updates, what do we see going across in the media? Is it kind of, I don't want to say slander campaigns, but are we working towards something or are we not? Because, if March 1 becomes a line in the sand, I think everyone can kind of make that work. Like pitchers will complain because they always do, Trev, am I right? These pitchers. But I don't know. I think that time of year we're really going to know if we should be scared or not.
Yeah. What do you feel about Manfred's quotes? His one quote was, the worst thing that happens is when we lose players in free agency, which I don't know if
He said that's the most negative reaction they get is when people leave for free agency.
Which, hold on, I agree with, and I've talked about on this. It's a weird way he's going about it, but I've talked about it a lot. Like, I like when guys stay with one city their whole career when they're good. I liked when Maurer did that. I liked how Jeter did that. I think Freddie Freeman should do that right now. Like, I hope Tatis gets locked up. I do think that's better, but the way he's spinning it is that to do that, you have to like hurt the player's earnings and keep him under cost-controlled years for longer, when there's different ways to do it. Like, I agree the end result should be try to get guys to one city. I think it's better product for the fan and the city. But we've talked about this a lot. How do you incentivize teams to bring back stars for what they're worth? Now, this was the thought behind the qualifying offer, that when you offer a guy the qualifying offer, that's a way to incentivize a team to keep a star, because if he doesn't accept it, then you lose a draft pick, and you're paying him the average, blah, blah, blah. But it really backfired on the players, the way the qualifying offer set up. It's the owners manipulated it. And that's the big thing. The owners are really smart, and the GMs and the front offices are really, really smart. They're not putting the PA down, but I don't think the PA has the brain power and the amount of people. We're talking about 30 teams with rooms of smart Ivy League college grads.
And a ton of money. And
a ton of money to manipulate whatever rules the PA sets. So when the PA sets these rules, they just don't have those kind of resources to be like, hey, run a mock season, run a mock 5 years with this and see how it can be manipulated. And I think that's why the CBA's, they're going to be a little scared with whatever they set, because it'll all be manipulated the same way again.
That's the thing is, it doesn't matter what language is in the CBA. The owners and the people who are running the teams, they pull the strings. They're the ones that make the moves with the players. They're the ones that sign the players. They're the ones that bring them up and down. They're the ones that decide when they're ready. Like players or the PA that has they can't do that at all. So it doesn't matter what language or what rules are put in. Like you said, James, the owners can look at it and say, okay, this is how we're going to, for lack of a better term, manipulate this. Let's find the loopholes. Let's find where we can take advantage of it. Look, it's business. Like that's what they can do. Like they're allowed to do that if it's within, the laws of the CBA and the rules of the CBA. So really it's tough for players because, like you said, like there were some things put in 2016 that were supposed to be, for the players and to help parity and all this stuff. And instead the owners turned them all and basically created a soft cap with the competitive balance tax. They turned the qualifying offer into basically, yeah, like it's gone awry, but it's not because the brain power is so much better. It's because when you are the ones making the decisions, you can take a look at the CBA and then decide how, all right, this is how we're going to approach this. The players and the association really once the CBA is done and signed, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, just to expand on the qualifying offer. So it was supposed to make teams offer stars that were leaving contracts to keep them on the team. Problem is, it's only a 1-year deal, and what players want the most is long-term deals. And the problem was, now if a guy leaves, he's got a draft pick attached to him. So we saw in 2019 spring training when they had to make that free agent camp, it was any player that had a draft pick attached to him, like Keuchel. When Keuchel went to, when Keuchel went to the White Sox, or was it the Braves? When Keuchel went to the Braves, whatever year that was, he didn't get signed until after the MLB draft because no team thought he was worth losing a draft pick to sign him. So the qualifying offer that the Astros extended him killed his free agency. Kimbrel absolutely obliterated it, where he then didn't get a contract and didn't play for 2 months because they would rather just get him on for cheap and not lose it. So, I mean, that's how the qualifying offer, which was put in place to do what we're asking, have stars stay in their city. It just completely ruined the middle tier player.
Well, and I think that those guys, those are still upper tier. Like Trev, you mentioned the middle tier. We still need to figure that out, and I know sometimes we reminisce about Yankees teams that had guys like Tim Raines and guys like that on the bench. And, we have a couple ex-ball players in JOMBOY media now that, 2018 I would have rather given, Trevor Plouffe a little bit of quiche than find out some rookies. But right now, the cost equation, they'd rather try out the kids. And this is the one where, obviously, I'd say this, we're pro player, we're closer to that. I'm a ball player, blitzball. The average MLB salary went down from 2019 to 2021. Just think about that. I know, zoom out a little bit and just think about any company, any organization. If you're making money, that's something you should take pride in. I know, we're a smaller company, but, one of the happiest days me and Jimmy had last year, 2 years ago, was when, the company started going again and we could give everyone bonuses and raises and stuff. That was exciting for us. To see that from 2019 to 2021, the average salary dropped 4.8%. Everything else is going up. So you gotta figure that out. Because everyone, and I see it. Sometimes the chat starts going, we get caught up in the Scherzers and some of those guys. Those aren't the norm. Far from it.
Nor the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they get the most press and
headlines.
And you predicted it, James, when you said this is just a shiny thing to show people.
As such a joke. I predicted that as such a joke. And then he literally said exactly what I said. And I tweeted it as such a joke because obviously you can't do that because the world isn't that dumb. Ed Manfred put it in there. But it's true. I mean, we still have people caught up on, Scherzer's making all this money. That no one is fighting for the richest of the richest of the richest of MLB players. They are getting their worth. We're fighting for the dudes who get run out of baseball when they still have a lot to offer the game, because the situation is it's much cheaper to pay a rookie $500,000 and shrug and say, hope he's ready, than to pay the guy who can help contribute to your team what he's worth at that point. So we're just in this cycle of 6 years of cost control, 3 team control, 3 arbitration, and then you better be upper echelon by the time you come out of that 6-year window. Otherwise, you're going to flounder. And that's
you're gone.
And that's not because there's a lot of people that come out of that 6-year window that aren't the upper echelon. They're not the Scherzers. They're not the Chris Taylors. Even.
Most of them.
Most of them. But they're still better than the kids in their first window. So, and if that's the equation, I don't blame the owners for manipulating it. I really don't. That's where I think I might differ, because they're businessmen. So I understand that. And it's for some players, it's this kid might be pretty good and he's 16th of the cost. So what they're trying to do is just change it so it's not that easy of a decision for the owners and the GMs, and it's a little harder and say, well, let's get the guy who can help us right now and not shrug, and it's not 1/16 of the cost. That's my opinion. Because I understand that in the parameters set, they're businessmen, and like, do you want to roll the dice?
Playing a game.
Do you want to roll the dice on Andujar to repeat his Rookie of the Year nominated season, or do you want to spend $300 million on Machado? Like, wrong decision at the time, but I understand. But that's the thought process that the last CBA given them. So that's what the CBA and the Players Union are trying to change now.
So I gotta go soon. You guys know that I gave the out, but I totally agree with everything you just said. It's about those middle tier players, guys that have risen through the grind and have made it, and it's like their turn to like get paid what they're actually worth, or even close to it, and then they're gone. And I want to make a point. You said 3 years of league minimum, 3 years of arbitration, and then you get free agency. The average big league career is like 3 years. It's like before you even get to arbitration, and that's not to even think about. You get drafted out of high school, I believe there's 5 years before they even have to put you on a roster. Or I think it's 4 years before they have to put you on the 40-man. Then there's 3 years of options there that they can send you up and down with no penalty. And then you have the 3 and 3. You are under team control and making. I mean, we know that what the minor leagues makes, it's nothing. You are losing money essentially to play in the minor leagues most of the time. They control you for a good 12 years.
Yeah, so
that's freaking nuts.
So Clint Frazier,
you reach the apex of your profession, of a highly lucrative profession. You reach it, you do well, and then they kick you to the curb. It's brutal.
Clint Frazier has played in parts of 5 MLB seasons. He's had a lot of injuries, and that hurt him as well. But he also rode the bus up and down so often, and sometimes it was performance-based, but I'm just trying to make a point here. He played in parts of 5 seasons, and he has accrued 3 years of service time. So the fact that they can manipulate that, I mean, they did it with Brandon Drury, the Yankees. They did it with Tommy Kahnle, where they just send you down because you have an option, and then you're not accruing service time, and then that pushes your free agency back. Like, I remember they pushed Brandon Drury. They kept him in AAA for like 30-something days.
It's like the maximum rehab assignment length, and then some more.
Because that made him under contract for one more full season, which come arbitration, basically those 5 extra days you kept him in the minor leagues, you cost him come arbitration $2 million. Because that's just the control they have. So that's the major issue here. It's nothing to do with the high line players and numbers.
And that's, we say Clint Frazier, we throw him out there. That guy's, he was a top 5 draft pick. Like, he's also almost not the norm. Like, that guy, we don't even picture him that way. But yeah, and just the other thing, and I guess this would be my counter to Uncle Rob about guys changing teams. Go check out your relief pitcher situation around baseball. Because this is what teams are doing. If you have a reliever who's maybe in his 3rd or 4th year with a team, a guy you're getting pretty familiar with, he might be getting ready to make $1.5 million. Good amount of money, right? Well, they can have 3 rookies make $500K and hope they're as good as that guy. So that's the kind of cost analysis equation that these front offices are doing that honestly kind of makes sense as a business, but that would be increased player movement, wouldn't it? Don't we want to keep these guys on teams so fans don't get sad?
I really have to go. This Derek in the chat said, I sound out of touch because $500K for only a few years is 10 times the salary of many Americans. I understand $500K.
Well, you got to take into account the window. Tell him, Trev.
Take into account you're not making that for the rest of your life. You also just went to the minor leagues where you were losing money. You were living below the poverty wage there. Okay? You have to give all that up. And guess what? People aren't going to like me saying this, but playing in Major League Baseball is an expensive lifestyle. You have to have an apartment for 6 months. You have to find a rental apartment in spring training for 2 months. Teams don't pay for any of that. You have to ship your cars. You have to pay for your family to come to the games. If you want to see your family at all, you got to pay for flights for them. Then you got to tip the clubhouse staff. You have to pay your dues. You have to pay your agent fees. You have to pay taxes. Like you think you're going to come away with $500,000? If you're lucky on $500,000, half of that's gone already because you're in the top tax bracket. It's gone. Okay. And then you have to pay for all this stuff. And and you still have bills and all this. Like you're lucky to save. I don't even know. It's not like these guys are making out like bandits on $500,000. They're just not. It's an expensive freaking lifestyle. That's just part of it. It's very hard to make it a not expensive lifestyle. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. It is a lot of money for a job. I think the shelf life is more sure. what I land at there. Like you said, the average.
They're just not going to keep all that money either. Like it's not like you just get this in the bank.
You train and they make you lose money training for this profession. Whatever. They pay you shit. And that's what they need to fix the minor league system. But it's more just the shelf life. Like a lot of guys are earning money.
Yeah. The shelf life is the main thing, but I can itemize all your expenses to be a professional baseball player, things they expect you to do, hiring trainers in the offseason, finding facilities. They want you to eat right, but they don't really feed you right. So it's like there are so many things, man.
Trev, can you keep mentioning you have to go. You said you had a hard out at 1. Do you want to tell the people where you're heading?
I'm going to No, I don't really want to because that's going to make me sound bad. But I am going to Las Vegas for a charity event.
Yes.
Doing some golf thing out there with some former big leaguers, Torrey and Griffey, which would be really cool. I don't even know if they know I'm coming. I'm kind of like crashing this thing, so that'll be fun.
Joe Torrey?
You're media.
I know.
Joe Torrey?
No, Torrey with 2 eyes.
All right.
Yeah. Torrey Hunter.
Former
Ever heard
teammate.
of him?
I like Torrey Hunter. I was more excited. I thought it was going to be Joe Torrey.
Maybe he's there.
Last thing I want to say before I go, shout out Jim Cott, Tony Oliva, all the other guys, Buck O'Neill. There's a bunch of guys that got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Very proud of all those guys. I love Tony Oliva. I gave a story on Baseball Today about him. One of the best dudes in baseball ever.
Out of all those guys, which one do you think shaves his pubes the best?
I love Cuban ball players. Let's go, Tony O. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Ho, 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 fellas. Naughty or nice. 'Tis the season to perform. You don't know what to get as a gift or a stocking stuffer? Well, today's sponsor, Manscaped, has the tools to guarantee you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. When's the last time you were in a stocking stuffing competition?
Show everyone your white elephant, BBD.
Manscaped is the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they have served more than 4 million men worldwide. If my math is correct, that's over 8 million balls. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/talkin. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped.
Tom Ace has a really good point in the chat. We met Tom. Nice guy. Good dude.
I dedicated a game to him.
He said, ha, 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 ha. Cott lets it grow. And, like, that's
obvious.
Just so obvious.
ATO.
I mean, it's bad. We'll get him some Manscaped.
Before we move on.
He lived in a van, I think, so. Or, like, a camper. I think him and his wife RV'd. Not ideal situations for manscaping.
Before we move on to the next topic we want to do, because there's some stuff we got to catch up on.
Sure.
Just while we're on the labor discussion, an example of a guy, just to show how long a team can just control you and you're not in control of your career. Again, not to be Yankee-centric, but they're the team I'm most aware of.
Sure.
I mean, Higgy, our guy, he was drafted out of high school in the 7th round. Wasn't added to the 40-man until he had to be. And he was an up-and-down third guy. Now he's going to be 32 years old this year, and he just entered arbitration for the first time. So, in theory, 3 more years, he'll be 35 the first year. He has, his own choice. If that happens.
Man, they protected him from Rule 5. I mean, Higgy's not like a slugger or whatever, but it's just wild that in all his time he's never once been able to maybe a new team.
It's not
kept
an
him.
option.
It's not an option.
He's kind of the case study for this is how long they could keep you.
How long?
Out of high school, he was drafted. I don't believe he went to college.
So 18.
So from 18, then whatever the number of years there. He's going to be 32 in April of this year.
So not that he's never wanted out, but that's wild. Like we're talking 14 years.
Think about how many jobs
Where-
you've had until you're 35.
Where
similarly,
he
Lucas
can't-
Licky just hit
Like
arbitration.
if I want to play baseball, it's with this team, and I have no say. That's kind of wild.
Mm.
All right, you want to talk about some of these signings?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Do you?
Some of them,
Yeah.
like not a lot of them, to be as honest as I can. Like we open up Padres
There's two
signed.
big ones.
Padres signed Nick Martinez 4-year, $20 million deal. Like no.
Nice little story, but
Yeah, I think
two
that's-
big boys came off the board.
Marcus Stroman, 3 years, $71 million with an opt out after the second. I read somewhere that like a joke. It was like they just asked for what Verlander got, but in half. But is it not even
No,
in
it's the
half?
same.
No, it's the first
the
2
same.
years is 250.
He got with
It's
Verlander
the
So that
Verlander
joke was
deal.
wants
with a bonus year.
Yeah, he's the
If
option
he
for
wants
the third
it.
year.
Yeah, I saw so many different reactions to this signing because I think he's a hot rod on Twitter, where people were saying it was an overpay, and then people were saying, oh, he didn't get nearly what he wanted. It's a pretty good contract. Pretty good signing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fascinated to know how the coming up on the timeline and the buzzer affected his free agency. Because you're right. I'm guessing both sides of that argument would be, there's a pretty good conversation that Marcus Stroman could have got 4 or 5 years. But he does get really good money. He's getting $25 per these next 2 years. That's, that is big boy money. So, I mean, congrats to Stroman in that way. And I think the team was also surprised. And the Cubbies.
Yes, it makes you think about what they're doing in kind of like my favorite gif that no one knows of Sean Wallace, where he's kind of thinking and then his eyes twinkle and he goes, huh.
That famous Sean Wallace.
Wallace Sean. Because the Cubs aren't going to not get anyone else. Why would you give $50 million
Right.
for the next 2 years if you're not trying to compete?
So I did one of my classic Jakey deep dives into this Cubs roster. I mean, top to bottom.
Classic deep dive. Hours of your life.
Really investigating what's going on here.
Yes.
I think next year is their find out year. They had a couple guys. They had Frank Schwindel, kind of went nut job for a little bit. What's Frank Schwindel about? They had Patrick Wisdom go nut job last year. Nico Horner, again, big prospect for them formerly of the compound. Like, what's he really about? So our guy Nick Madrigal should be with them next year. So I think next year for the Cubs is
When
kind
you say
of
next year,
2022.
this coming
season.
I think we say this year.
This year for the Cubs, I mean 2022, it's 2021. I think there's a conversation to be had there easily. The next baseball season. This baseball season?
We're
Has
in
the
a
calendar
weird
turned?
area here, but I thought
2022
I thought
Cubs.
you were talking about 2023, so that's why I was going
The
to
2022 Cubs. Rafael Ortega, go look at his stats.
No, refuse.
You'd like them, though.
Okay.
I think it's kind of the Cubs want to find out where they actually land, and then they'll have Stroman for that year, and then they can make aggressive Cubs moves. But at the same time,
Well,
they could use a
there's
shortstop.
rumors that I believe and don't believe all the same that
They
they
could
were
use a
linked to
shortstop.
Correa, that they reached out to him.
They could use a guy like that. And they also made that sneaky Wade Miley move at the beginning of all of this. So they added Stroman and Miley, which Stroman, Hendricks, Miley, I don't think that should scream to anyone about like a top three. But
Alec Mills.
Alec Mills is currently their 5 starter. They have Adbert Alzolay as the 4.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that. That's just stupid.
But I don't know. Again, Cubs fans, you guys let me know a little better. I know our Jill's an all-star Cubs fan.
Jill H.
So yeah, Good for
I think
Stroman.
they got to go get other people now. I mean, do they get Bryant back? Do they get Correa back? How big do they go? But they can't stand pat. If you give a guy $50 million for the next 2 years, you're kind of declaring we're opening a window here.
Well,
Like you're just like kind of like sneaking the window open, and then like people are noticing it because what are you doing?
what'd you do with the window?
You're not slamming it open
Right.
like this. Like you're just kind of like slowly opening it.
Well, the other wild card in Cubs land is Wilson Contreras. There's trade rumors around him. We've seen the catcher market, and they signed Yan Gomes. So there's a conversation there. Are they waiting for the DH, and Wilson Contreras can be a kind of catcher DH type, or do they plan on moving Contreras and either getting another arm? And, would we be shocked if they did another, like, Jock Peterson type thing where they sign a guy to 1 year and hope he clicks for a little bit? I think that's where the Cubbies are going to land. I had that moment of, I don't want to say fear, but, like, if the Cubs get in the shortstop game, like, the prices go back up. But I don't think they are.
I think they are.
You think they are?
How long do they have Madrigal for? Next 5 years?
He's playing second base.
I know. How long do they have him for?
A while.
So
Well, they also have Horner, who is like a big-time prospect, and they currently have him penciled in the short. So I think this year might be a Horner or Madrigal. One of you guys is going to stick.
I don't think they can do that.
Okay.
Like if you're giving Stroman $25 million for this upcoming season, you should try to win around him. Otherwise, why did you do that?
Coming into the offseason, there were like rumors around the fringes about Cubs potentially being involved in the shortstops too, and everyone thinks they have a chance to bring back Rizzo, who's not his best form, but he's still very much a high quality
Be
MLB
nice.
player. So they can do stuff, and there's been
He
rumors
gave like
about
a
them
big
potentially doing
heartful
stuff.
goodbye.
You're just move on.
Yeah.
What if the Yankee thing just becomes a blip?
I think the Yankee thing will be a blip.
Like the parents got divorced, and then but they actually got back together. Like, remember that? Remember that month that dad
Separated
was
for like 7 months.
Dad was
last year.
Dad was sleeping at Uncle Gary's. What was that about? Said he had back complaints about the mattress, but that didn't seem right.
My back's been killing
He
me.
could have just slept downstairs. He likes the bed downstairs. Him and
Sure,
Uncle
Rizzo
Gary
can
were
go
so
back,
drunk.
but I think they did a whole goodbye. People cried.
Showed up at the door drunk.
People cried.
People did cry. But people cry.
Oh, all the time.
Cubs, do a little more. Because, I mean, these moves still don't have the Cubs messing with the Brewers or the Cardinals, really.
Yeah, not really. But, I mean, Vogelback's off the Brewers now, so.
Ooh.
So where's he going to go?
That's the rest of the episode. Where will Dan Vogelback go? I follow him on Instagram. Pretty good follow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where he's going to go.
Right now. Okay, the three of us get to give our Vogelback predictions.
It needs to be a place that already has a big guy.
He can't be the only big guy.
Wow, Yankees.
You have Vogie to the Yanks.
Insane. Yeah.
I'll go.
Spring training invite.
I'm going to go Seattle. BBD?
Back to Seattle?
Vogie's going back. Organizations like him.
Back to where I...
Deep in thought.
Until Jimmy said Yankees, I was thinking about the same thing, like a minor league invite situation.
You go
but-
Yanks, too.
No, because now I don't believe in it.
Okay.
I never
To be
believed it.
mean.
So no pick.
No pick. I'm out.
Okay. Good prediction. Prediction pod.
I don't think BBD is going to get it right.
It's a tough,
I
man.
don't think he's going to get
Every
that.
chance in the world.
The other one is Chris Taylor, 4 years, $60 million. We have a note here that says GSJ's mad about it.
Who said that?
In our notes, it says GSJ's mad about it.
Oh, we don't speak about the hush, man.
Good for the Dodgers?
Good for the Dodgers. Good for Chris Taylor. Belly had a silly belly video that was going around the internet the other day where he called them money bags or something like that. It was good. Yeah, I think we all kind of did the turkey math on this, that with Seager gone, with Scherzer gone, the Dodgers having money and still wanting to pay players, it seemed like this linked up. And I think it ties into the Stroman conversation a little bit. Chris Taylor did have the qualifying offer attached that I do think scared teams away a little bit. And there was also rumors that he really wanted to return to L.A.
Why would you not?
So when you put
That team seems so close and so fun, and he just plays wherever he wants, and they're always in the postseason.
when you put all of that in the bucket, it was like, yeah, Chris Taylor was going back. And I think there was an initial reaction from every contending team, because every contending team would have a spot for Chris Taylor, because Chris Taylor plays every position.
Spot. Yeah.
That it was like $15 million a year, Chris Taylor, he could have been a fit here. Yeah, but I think he wanted to go back to L.A.
Did you think he was going to get more?
I kind of did. I thought the number was going to drop. I tweeted like right before he signed, because they said he was signing, but they didn't have the numbers yet. I thought there was a chance we got like a 4 for $80 or maybe even a little more, just because I thought as the free agents started to go, and like I said, supply and demand, a lot of teams wanted Chris Taylor. But I think the qualifying offer took a couple teams out of the running. That it kind of landed. I think a lot of people were kind of expecting the 4 for $60. Good for him, man. I know we like telling the good stories of baseball players, but like he was a DFA kind of spit around guy, right? They were done with him.
Turner, Muncy.
Swing class crew.
Dodgers are the
swing class.
original reclamation team.
Should we do a Dodgers swing class shirt that's just like swing? It's people swing dancing and there's baseball stuff on it.
And what's the guy, Van Scoyoc?
Van Scoyoc.
Whatever his name is. He's the instructor.
Van Scoyoc.
Van Squeeze Me.
Good for
Okay.
Chris Taylor.
What do you know about Scott Kamenicki?
Scott Kamenicki is a ball player.
Yes. He was.
Third base?
He's a pitcher. So.
Who am I thinking? I was thinking of Ken Caminetti. I used to always switch the letters there.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean,
I explained myself.
in other news, James Paxton. Did we talk about this? Red Sox signed James Paxton, 1 year, $10 million.
We did on Talking Yanks.
Oh yeah. The Red Sox got a grab bag of pitchers. They got James Paxton, Rich Hill, and wasn't there another one? And Waka. They already have a solid 1 through 4, so one of those guys, they'll get innings out of those 3 somehow.
And I think this was buried about the Paxton deal, because he is coming off TJ, and I don't think he's expected back till midseason, so we've done a lot of our TJ talk on here. There's a club option for the next season.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a good Tommy John deal.
I think you'd think that might be a bigger factor in it than next year, but interested to see. Because they are expecting Waka and Hill to pitch innings for them, major league innings next year. Paxton, I think they have it as like, if we do see a midway through next year, cool. But if not, we have that club option if we want it.
Does Paxton have incentives? Because isn't his Seattle deal, wasn't it like every 10 games and he only pitched 1? So
I don't know what his incentives are, but he can get up to $3 million incentives, and there's some funky option stuff, because I can't tell if it's like one of those weird 2-year things and then he gets a player thing, but there's 2 option years after this year for 13 each, and then it becomes a player option for $4 million next year if the Red Sox decline the $13 million. So that's how you get to the $10 million guarantee.
Interesting.
So this was a Red Sox specific show. I'd be all over that.
Well, head there.
That's the type of contract you like.
I know. They're so bizarre. I don't think he made any money last
So
year.
how much is he going to get this year?
His salary this year is $6 million. He has a $10 million guarantee because it's
With the buyout.
because it's buyout /
So
option.
just a little
Player
insight
option,
into the
you can
price of
decide.
starting pitcher. James Paxton might get $10 million this year for kind of nothing.
Oh,
It's
be good and
guaranteed
get Tommy
$10
John.
million.
You get Tommy John guaranteed $10 million.
Yeah.
Do you know who won the 2012 Award of Excellence in sports law?
I don't.
It was Dick Moss.
Sure was. Dick Moss. I feel like we've talked about Dick Moss.
Probably.
before.
I mean, you're not going to come across that name and not talk about it. And then he looks like the clown. No, he looks like the dead guy in Doctor. What's the game where you try to play doctor? Is it called Doctor? Operation. He looks like that guy. That's all the signings, unless there's some I missed.
No, I mean, there's other small ones and some trades. Do we have another?
Yeah, DraftKings,
Oh.
the main advertiser presenting the show.
Main event.
What do you think the odds are for you to win the title tomorrow in Binha? You only had to beat me last time. Now you got to beat 3 other people.
Can we get them to get Bino bets for the next tournament?
Yeah,
I think we can.
Do we have to sign like a competition act?
Something.
Like in good faith, we will play Bino to our
Yeah.
best abilities and we won't like rig it.
Players competing. We'll talk to them.
Okay. Well, for now, before you can bet on our Bino tournament, which is Tuesday at 7 o'clock, you're just going to have to bet $1 on an NFL game for a team to score, and then you win $100 free in bets. How about that? A single point gets scored, you get $100 in your account that you can use to bet, and if you take 50 of those dollars and you bet it, and then you win $1 million, you cash out. Now you've won $1 million, and you only put down $1. Wow, great bet. $50 down to win $1 million. Would love to know what the odds were there. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOMBOY. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code JOMBOY this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or PA. Only new customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. 1 per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. The gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. The Grandy man to manage the Mets?
Yeah, I think.
You don't say?
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's. Hey, if he does, good for him. For me, that's always one of those like, dude, you made a lot of money playing baseball. You've got a pretty sweet TV gig, and I think he does a lot of stuff with the Players Alliance. He's the president of the Players Alliance. So, I don't know. Like, I'd be happy with the Mets. Like, he's one of the most beloved guys around baseball. They're also interviewing Quatraro today, the Rays bench coach. Rays bench coach.
They'll probably give it to him,
right
man.
there.
Kind of tell us your secrets award.
Tell us your egrets award. There's a couple trades we could touch on.
All right.
There was the Renfroe JBJ one at the deadline, which
I love that. Want to know why I love it? Because I've made up fan fiction about it.
ooh, okay. Let me name the players in the trade because I did partially break it, and then you tell us the fan fiction, and we'll see what overlaps. Hunter Renfroe is going to the Brew Crew. Jackie Bradley Jr. and 2 prospects are going to the Boston Red Sox. And Jim, why is that again?
I have fan fiction about this trade. Cora signs his extension, right?
Yeah.
They kind of last year they didn't know about Cora. Was they just hire him to appease the fan base and a scapegoat, and then Heim was going to get his new guy afterwards. Some thought maybe that was it. But Cora comes in, big swinging dick, wins everyone over, gets them to the playoffs, has a lot of fun, advances them. They give Cora the extension. Cora says, "I need one thing. Go get me my center fielder."
Oh, okay.
That's it.
scene?
That's end of it. Yeah,
End scene.
because Heim didn't want to bring him back at all.
So,
JBJ had like the worst offensive year of his career last year. But Cora said, "I will sign this extension, but I need one thing. You go get me my center fielder." So it's good. Great. It's good to be buddies. And that is fan fiction.
that is fan fiction. I saw a good tweet. I think it was by our guy, Sungmin Kim, who said, "This is the Red Sox selling high on Renfroe." Renfroe had a really nice year last year. He was kind of a key cog for the Red Sox. And And if you remember, Renfroe, the COVID year for the Rays, we were kind of almost laughing at him.
Yeah.
Like his at-bats became pretty tough towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But again, weird COVID year, all that stuff. He's always had a really good arm defensively, blah, blah, blah. It's them selling high on Renfroe. They're buying low on JBJ, kind of what you said. Like JBJ's hitting last year was bad. Never been what JBJ's been about, but it was, below what he's normally about. So if those things return back to medium, they can still use JBJ. I mean, we've all seen him patrol center field at Fenway and in the Red Sox uni. If they can get value out of JBJ, they kind of swapped outfielders, and then they picked up 2 prospects along the way. So I kind of like that angle on it. Like, they're you're flipping the coin on the outfield a little bit, and you'll see what return there. Plus, you got 2 prospects. If one of them hits, you've fully won the trade.
I like it from the Brewers side a lot.
And the Brewers, I mean, their side's kind of easy, right?
Lost a right fielder, got a right fielder.
Boom.
Boom.
Do what you did.
Hunter Renfroe is more Rays, Brewers type player.
It's true. Red Sox fans aren't going to like that, but it is true.
I don't have it as a knock on the Red Sox.
I know they could still not like that. I
just have him more as like an analytics platoon. We're gonna wring out the best of you, guy. Great arm.
And it was really good. 816 OPS from Hunter Renfroe. 31 homers. That's his second 30-plus homer season in the bag.
Tell me everything you know about Bob Wickman.
Dude, you're going to love Bob Wickman. A, he was a gross closer for a little bit in the 90s. And B, I think he has half a finger.
You know who his agent was?
No.
Dick Moss.
Should have known that.
Yeah.
Should have known that.
You really should have known that.
Dick Moss.
Bob Wickman only had half a finger?
I bet I could butter knife some stats. Jim, I could do it.
Do it.
The last 4 full seasons, so you take out 2020, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, Hunter Renfroe has 25-plus home runs in each of those seasons. I bet I could chop that down and make him with a pretty elite crew.
Do it.
Maybe I will.
Butter knife away, man.
Go then.
I'm gone.
And I think if you, by rate, the 8 homers he had in 2020, I think that comes out to, 24 over 162? Is that how the math works?
I'm not
like
a math
multiply
guy.
by 3, right?
3, 6 times 120. I think that's high. I think we got to get rid of it.
You're doing 8 times 3 is 24.
Nobody can do that math, Dave. Can I call you Dave? Jolly calls you Dave, and now it's throwing everything out.
Throwing numbers at me.
He's homered at a 25 homer pace every year at least.
I can feel my brain melt when you do that. 8 times. Is there anything else on the list that we need to talk about?
There will be a day. I think
That'll be the day.
Should become a running joke of the show when we talk about some of the extensions we missed. We keep hinting at the Adam Frazier trade.
But we talked about it.
But we talked about it. Like Mariners fans, come on.
Talked about it when they got Ray. We like it.
Jordan Lyles to the Orioles.
How much?
1 year, $7 million. I would love to know those contract negotiations. Because this was like the last one at the buzzer.
Do you want to know what it is?
Okay, and this isn't fan fiction, right?
This is more fan fiction.
Okay, it's more fan fiction.
And this is like the Roberto Perez, the Pirates.
Okay.
This is a memo from Manfred. And this is fan fiction. A memo from Manfred to all teams. And you say, hey, good or bad, big or small, rich or poor, go sign someone in the middle.
Anyone.
We need leverage here. Orioles going to need you to go spend $7 million on someone. Pirates, Please go spend $7 million on someone. D-backs. You guys were awful last year. Going to need you to go spend some money, make some moves. We're going to negotiations, and we need every team on the column of did you do something and pay a guy. That's my fan fiction of why the Orioles signed Lyles and why the Pirates signed Roberto Perez when they don't have to.
Can I tell you more things about the Jordan Lyles contract? So it's a $500K signing bonus, salary of $5.5K. So that's up to $6 million. So that's up to $6 million. And then it's a $1 million buyout after this year. That's how you get the $7 million contract. It's an $11 million team option for next season. If he's good.
Why would they pick that up?
I have something mean that I'm not going to say. But if
the
I
only
were
reason
gonna
that
say
team
it,
option's good is if they want to trade Jordan Lyles and then the team grabbing him retains that team option.
And
That's
I
the
think
only reason the Orioles would put that in there.
And I think the benefits luxury tax stuff, I think.
here's my thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of mean, so I'm not going to say it.
All right. Sounds like you're going to say it.
But you're a free agent. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Uh-huh.
hey, like if maybe the Dodgers or the Rays, like if they see something that they like I'm doing, maybe we'll tap into that, kind of go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
The Orioles call you up and they're like, some of our numbers really like you. You're like, oh no,
Well, dirty little secret
that's not good.
that isn't talked about. The dude who basically gets a lot of credit for building the Astros team is with the Orioles now. So maybe it is.
Jordan Lyles, former Astros great.
Double check that.
I double check that. It felt right.
Just Google
He was part of the Texas Rangers old man staff, but yeah, he came up with Houston.
Jordan Lyles,
Let's go.
former Astros great. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google it, all those words with quotes around them, see if it's ever been typed on the internet before. No. So you're a liar.
One more Jordan Lyles fact before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, Jordan Lyles has pitched on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 baseball teams.
Mm-hmm.
On 5 of those 6, he has an ERA in the 5s. 6th team, 2 years with the Milwaukee Brewers, a 2.64. Bring Jordan home, Milwaukee.
Via trade.
Maybe. Early rumors. This year's trade deadline, Jordan Lyles
By
to the
John
Brewers.
Boy Media's Brewers beat reporter Jake Storielli. Early Jordan Lyles trade rumors. Don't drop your belt.
Bino tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
One more thing.
And we
you
have
And we have
poll.
one more ad. If you've been with us this long and you're still listening to the episode, you are a real one. And our sales department or just our company is looking for a quick favor from everyone. I'm going to read this. We are incredibly grateful for each of you in the Jumbo Media. We want you guys to fill out a survey for us to let us know how we can better do everything we're doing. And if you fill out this survey, you will get a 20% discount code to the JOMBOY Media store. It'll take you less than 5 minutes to complete. Please consider doing it to help us out. All you have to do is click the link in the survey in the description of this episode on YouTube and answer the questions, and you get 20% off our store. Thank you for letting us learn more about our audience so we can make this community better than it already is. Bino Belt on the line tomorrow night. John Boy and Jake TV YouTube channel live streaming. Joe's McFly will be doing play-by-play. I will be participating. Jake will be participating. BBD will be participating. Zach will be participating. Joe's will be participating. Jolly will be participating. Shaq will be participating. And then maybe Chris McFly is the 8th spot. And that's it. That's all we got. What an episode. Love talking ball.